What?
Okay. Robert? Robert! What is this? There's an entire swimming pool in here? Robert, where are you? Robert, where are you? Robert, is that you?
What?
We've got a show to do. I've been trying to look for you all over. I didn't even see you coming when I was coming in there.
Well, how you doing, Logan? And it's showtime! Do you find those after-dinner games between the generations exciting? Here's my favorite, Monopoly. Monopoly on the Truth. To play Monopoly on the Truth, all you need to do is to think that your opinion is better than everyone else's, and you don't even need a playing board, okay?
Okay, Boomer.
Well, actually, it's not okay. Because though Monopoly on the Truth is exciting and agitating and aggravating and... Stop!
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer.
There are about as many different ways to communicate virtually as there are spaghetti sauces at Walmart. But what about something virtual that you can use to find something you need in your neighborhood, like firewood? You get on it. You have any firewood? Boom. Somebody else comes up and says, yeah, we do. For your individual neighborhood. Such as, a neighborhood in Chattanooga called Mountain Creek, home of the OKBoomer Studios. And you've got something going on here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's where we're at right now. But you call it Chatty Nooga.
Yeah.
What is it about, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so ironically, my background is in email marketing and design. So I started working at a company that was essentially a design tool specifically for emails. And so from there, I was kind of drawn into this world, this weird niche universe of like email nerds. And people, like, when you first think about that, you're like, people actually still use email, and that's something that people go into and make their entire careers about. But yeah, it's much more popular now more than anything, especially with the rise of social media trying to take over people's lives and and a lot of people are not really enjoying that. So my background in email, I was really just tired of seeing boring emails, and I'm sure you've gotten, billing emails and telling you to, subscribe for this and marketing stuff. And
I've got a whole list of them on several of my email accounts, and I spend the weekend eliminating these.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
So I was just getting really tired of troubleshooting those emails at my job, and so I was just like, why did people in the 2000s and even the 90s, when AOL was starting to come up with dial up and then the lovely ear tones,
that's what I remember
and
that.
it took 25 minutes for you to even connect, and your mom would get pissed off when you would do it because you couldn't use the telephone. So, but yeah, like what drew people to even go through that stage, just so that they could use an email and talk with their friends and send chain messages to each other. And so I kind of went back to what's basically what I grew up in. I was born in 1996, and so it was right at the start of internet starting to become a major trend. And so I was just really thinking, like, wanting to make that a fun process. And a lot of my background and interests is also just learning how to incorporate elements of fun into the design process rather than it just being weird corporate um, robot voice. And so um, and I also wanted to give myself a leg up in my previous position to just understand the marketing of email marketing and design. And so I was just doing my learning by doing process, and I created this weird newsletter called Chatty Nooga. And
Now let me
yeah,
ask you, what does Chatty Nooga do? How does it differ from, say, Facebook, other emails that come in? There's a definite difference between what you're doing and what we've got coming now, clickbait.
yeah, yeah. So my background, or whenever I originally started this idea, I saw that one, there are current networks and or news networks and stuff like Channel 3 and Nougat a Day that provide that really important news landscape for our city. But it's also just like it can kind of be overwhelming, especially if it's talking about crime or the bad stuff that's happening in our city. And that's just kind of, people like there's someone else that's covering that. And that's something that I'm not really interested in
So,
talking.
what are you covering?
Yeah, so it is a local newsletter that kind of focuses on small business spotlights. So if there's new businesses opening up, or if there's small businesses that are just not, getting enough attention that I think that they deserve, and they're super unique. I really want to just, learn about them and be curious, and just seeing what's going on in the hometown that I grew up in. But also, it's instead of it being reported by myself, it's actually reported from these two rambunctious, country as cornbread kid reporters named Bubby and his best friend from Georgia, Clementine, which is written by my fiance Amy. So her and I have just kind of created this mixture of helpful events and local news and spotlights for people in our city that make it so special, but also having this narrative storytelling of having it told from two kids. So it's kind of like Little Rascals, or if you grew up on Cartoon Network and you enjoyed stuff like Codename Kids Next Door, that's probably one of my favorite inspirations for that, where it was just like showing this perspective of a kid, and also telling the stories of people from the voice of a child and the perspective of a child.
Yes,
Yeah, sorry.
and from the perspective of a Southern child,
Yeah.
because you talk in a dialogue.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's like, you're really taking on this voice in addition to telling the news. And so sometimes this is where I grew up. I grew up in Chattanooga. I was born and raised. And so my family has backgrounds even going in from Appalachia, and my grandparents. My Nana specifically grew up in the Smoky Mountains, and so she's got what we call her Nana-isms, which is just her Appalachian dialect and her tone of how she speaks. And so there's weird bits and pieces of that thrown in, and so there's also areas of storytelling and lore that I actually base off of my actual family and growing up here. So and a lot of people, well, the South specifically gets a bad rep for a lot of the things that have historically happened here. And so we're kind of taking that back and helping people understand that Southern hospitality is still alive and well, and that can still look like, saying hey to your neighbor, or offering a cup of sugar, or just, being curious about what other people are doing in your town without it coming off as, rude, or something that's like invasive or getting in people's business. And it's just being like, I think Southern culture is really just wanting to be truly helpful. And that's something that I really grew up on and was told to, treat others the way I wanted to be treated. And I think that's the golden rule. So,
Yeah, and what I've noticed, I lived in Nashville for years. I've noticed that it seems to me like the North and California have really given the South a bad rap when it really doesn't deserve it. It's a new South now, from what I can hear. And when I say here, people my age, old as dust, will talk with a definite Southern accent. Whereas you and people your age don't have that at all. You could almost be mistaken for a Midwesterner. So it's a new South.
Yeah, and I get that a lot actually, and I don't really understand why I'm like this, but because like if you talk to my parents, it'll be a very noticeable Southern dialect, and everyone else in my family, and even my grandma, which is my dad's mom, is just like hey there, honey, how you doing? And it's like it's very much like Southern porch sitting grandma vibes, and so I don't know where either it's like a blessing or a curse of where I lucked out of not having the accent, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just here. So and it's like I used to make fun of it too because growing up in Saudi Daisy, the only thing I had that was like for fun was my people like I didn't do this personally, but my friends and people that I knew in high school were either doing donuts in the Walmart parking lot or just hanging out at Taco Bell. And the best, like my favorite thing that I used to do with my friends was literally just going to Buffalo Wild Wings and eating. And so coming back here and and after living in Orlando and working for Disney for 8 years, it was just a huge shock because I left Chattanooga at 18 because I just hated it and I thought that there was no room to grow. And so whenever I came back, I was just taken for a huge it kind of felt like a culture shock because
It wasn't like it was before when you were a
yeah,
child.
exactly. And so
Could it be the newcomers who came in that influenced it?
yeah, which I don't know. I think there's a mixture like there is that in play where there are people that are, excuse me, constantly moving and um to Chattanooga specifically. Shit. Chattanooga specifically is growing to exponential rates, and so we do have those people that are moving here, and it's great to have that.
Like me.
Yeah, like Robert. So it's like it's a blessing and a curse to
Right
have
now, it's going to be a curse.
yeah. So, but yeah, I think Chattanooga, especially recently with its national park city status and just how beautiful it is
It
in
is.
comparison to the rest of the South, where we have elements of the Tennessee River in play, and we also have several mountain ranges, and we offer a huge variety of landscape and for everyone to like, it's a national park city. So that's when people think of that. It's like, what's a national park city? It's hard to describe at first, but it's really prevalent once you
Well,
actually get.
scenic city.
Yeah,
Scenic city.
yeah,
I have never seen a more beautiful city because wherever you are, there is wonderful scenery. It doesn't make
yeah,
a difference where you are. And where I live, where we're recording this, is next to Mountain Creek, and then I can see outside of one balcony Signal Mountain. And so it's a very scenic place. Now let's turn to when you were working full time. You started Chattanooga while you were working full time. What happened with that job?
yeah, yeah. So I would say or so next week we're actually celebrating our 1 year anniversary of Chattanooga. So we started at February 10 of 2025, and that one was going super well. I was kind of just learning the ropes and better understanding the whole process of creating a newsletter
Well, yes, but
but
what
then
I'm getting
yeah,
at is the job you were doing,
right,
the
yeah.
full time job. So what happened with that?
Yeah, so I'd say about I think it was the end of August. I was suddenly laid off, and there was no real explanation. It was just I think part of business, especially working in tech. It's kind of the common theme here lately. So sadly, I was just part of those numbers, and I was kind of just distraught. And after being there for almost 4 years, it was kind of a sting, but. And normally, because I tied a lot of my work and my life to my work, it kind of hit me a lot as far as am I not good enough for this job? If I'm not good enough for this, then what else am I good for? So, yeah, briefly, it like really stung, and I would have taken it a lot harder previously. But through the months of like community building and actually having friends like you and several people that I've met in the Chattanooga creative community. It just like really it stung for like the first 2 days, but then I was just like, there's people here that really still care, and they really, they didn't care about the work that I was doing at my old job, but they really saw the potential in Chattanooga and the community building and the need for connection and just being with people. And so I was just, I didn't have any plans as far as my next role or these opportunities. So I just started doubling down on Chattanooga, and it felt really cool to just focus on that full time. And so I've been growing it ever since, and we have about 1,045 unique subscribers that we've grown mostly organically, just through word of mouth. We have done some advertising, but that's money, and so we don't have that at the moment. And so, but it's been great to just use it to meet people and actually connect with the community and stay plugged
And you're doing a lot of that. It only took you a few days to get over getting the axe.
in. Yeah.
I know three people who've been fired. You're one of them.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the prevalent thing. This one woman I talked with, in fact, she was on OKBoomer, Eileen, she had a very good rating as far as the company was concerned, and then they decided they needed to cut back, so she was one of the people cut back. I see that now as a trend, whereas when I was growing up, a person could theoretically start in the mailroom
Yeah.
and work his way up, or most of the time it was he, into a CEO position. And then that gradually eroded away.
Yeah.
So you're working for yourself now, and I see a lot of people doing that. But you're probably, well, I can see you're very, very busy, but you're enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah. And then, like I said, also having rabbit ADHD, it can come with its trade-offs of,
Oh, yes.
of overextending myself. And so that's something that I'm really trying to be intentional of keeping an eye on this year. Last year, whenever all this was happening, I was doing Chatty Nooga. The very first thing that inspired starting it was, I wanted to be intentional about the relationships that I created. And so now that I've built up my confidence to where it's like, oh, like this is something that I know how to do, and I'm very knowledgeable about it, and it is something that is needed in our neighborhood and our community. I am now changing over to this idea of having depth into it, and so that's, and like you said, like it's been hard to work for myself because you're having to stabilize everything and deal with everything as far as like where's the money coming from, and then managing your time wisely, and all of that garbage that comes with being your own boss. And so
Same garbage for me.
yeah. And so
And
having
I'm ADHD too, and I found out when I was 70.
yeah,
I'm 73 now.
jeez,
Yeah,
I couldn't even
ADHD.
imagine.
Okay, the way I handle it is I just try to do as little as possible all the time.
Yeah, which I'm the same way, and that's where I was like, when I moved back from Orlando to Chattanooga, the first 2 or 3 years I was just in peak hermit mode, and all I would hang out with was Amy, my fiance, my family, and our dog, and that was kind of it. And so after 2.5 years of that, 3 years, I was just like, there's got to be more out here. And so I created Chatty Nooga, and people don't realize, like, when you're doing things for yourself, you don't have, it's like, you're not wanting, it'd be really cool if you could go viral in like today's society with like content and clips, and it's becoming this huge sensation.
There's a lot of competition. I mean, it
Yeah.
used to be you'd have radio and TV, and then people would be competing to get on the air.
Yeah.
I'm talking about broadcasters. Now, everyone can be on the air, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think that's what's one of the cool things too, where it's like, it used to require an entire production team and red tape and different bureaucracies of broadcasting, like your
But as you
background.
see here,
Yeah. But
we don't have any of that.
yeah, so I mean, it's just two people with a dream and an idea, and the will to actually do it, and so that you have.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
but I want it
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's also one of the other things about Southern culture is that it kind of gives, it has this slow living. compared to, Chicago and New York, where it's like, I'm going quick. I gotta go, and it's showbiz,
We're
baby.
going to
And I gotta
get
do
the
this.
great. I'm from the great city
Yeah.
of Chicago, and we want it yesterday.
Yeah, it's like,
God bless the mayor.
yeah, and like, where's my Amazon drone coming
Yeah,
in?
where's my drone?
Yeah, and so I think and a lot of people. Exactly. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people don't recognize like business is slow. And when you take the time to be intentional about building out your business and talking with people of just like really getting to know your community and the people that you're wanting to serve, that's when things like it's slow building in terms of getting that like the rewards of having that reputation in your community or even making money to support it. It can be slow, but it's much more sustainable and doable. And I think when you kind of adopt that concept, it's a lot easier. And so like having these opportunities come up from the work that you're slowly putting in, where it's like, hey, you want to show up for my podcast? Like, I'll show up for your podcast, and in return, I can design your website. And not even just having these different approaches to how businesses operate with each other. It's fully relational, and that's something that's
It's different
yeah.
than what used to be.
Yeah, and especially small business owners and
Yeah.
independent creators like us, that it's relational, and I
Right.
think when people uh, they set aside oh, it's just business, but also like business can be it has to have emotion and depth into that, and so that's part of the reason why I'm doing what I do. So
Yeah, and it's the 21st century way of doing business.
yeah,
Okay, any final remarks, Lowell?
uh, I Yeah, I just if you're interested in staying up to date on all things Chattanooga that is from a weird perspective, feel free to sign up for Chatty Nooga at chattynooga.news. And then otherwise, if you're free to come, well, I guess this will probably be airing later, but we'll be here at Decaffeinated North Shore for our 1 year anniversary party, which will be featuring our friend Robert. So yeah, if you're curious, then if you want to really connect with your community, just get started and go to something that you might have interest in and talk to people there. And then from there, I think your connections will start to open up faster than you think, and you really don't have to do things alone. Nowadays, like people also think that you have to, in order to have a business, you have to do everything by yourself, and that's usually not the case. As long as you're willing to, put in some work and effort to maintain a relationship, that's one of the biggest things that I've really taken away from this project and really enjoyed.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Logan. It's been a very pleasant, and as I could see, you were impressed by my studio
Well, beautiful place. I love the
and the debris laying around, and we're going to build this studio up. It's not going to look like this all the time, but I just have it being ADHD. I have to have everything perfect, unlike what we've got here.
Yeah, so you're doing your best. I see it. I see the vision. It's the vision of
I see
the.
a puddle.
We probably put the air mattress in the tub next time.
Robert, where are
And
you?
then float around and do another one.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll do an aquatic episode.
Okay, that was Logan Elmore. I'm Robert Rickman, the Boomer. He's the Millennial. We'll see you next time.
All right. Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer.